Take two on the intro. We don't usually do this, but I did say a trigger word that could get me in trouble with YouTube. So we've got to do this one again. Big up people for joining us. Myself, Guni, and my special guest here, Don Husam, the infamous Liverpool fan who is causing waves all over spaces, the football terrace. You know where to find this, brother. If you don't, I don't know what rock you're living under, but it's good to have you on the platform. Husam, first and foremost, the most important question of the day: how are you doing, my bro?
I'm good, man. I can't lie to you. This World Cup has been such a welcomed escape from Liverpool Football Club. I can't lie. It's been tough. I know you feel the same way about your own club, but I've loved this World Cup. I've loved every bit of it. It's just been a great escape for me from the horrible start that we've had this season. So I've been enjoying myself for the last 2-3 weeks. The World Cup's been proper vibes as well, very good vibes as well, the World Cup. But yeah, the Liverpool pain will return shortly. It's unfortunate, but I'm good
I hear
personally.
you. I hear you. I hear you. But to those that haven't followed Husam during the World Cup, he was giving some phenomenal coverage for the entire tournament. And hats off to you, bruv. There was a lot of work that needed to be done, and you just tackled it like an absolute gladiator. So fair play to you. Really, really spoiled the people, man. So Husam really does put in the work, people. So definitely give him that subscribe, give him that like. That's one that I always feel good to tell people to subscribe to, because I know you're not going to be disappointed. So make sure you catch Husam on his channel. This is football, as it says there in his name. But we're going to discuss the World Cup just a little bit. We're not going to overdo it. I know you've been asked so many questions about it, and you've covered it for the last 2 weeks. So I'm not trying to get too stuck on that for you. But this one really is in terms of standout players. There have been several that have been linked with your club. One in particular, Sofiane Amrabat, the standout player for Morocco. In fact, the standout midfielder of the competition, arguably. But apparently he looks like he is being linked with Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp is a huge fan. I'm a huge fan from the technical qualities that he showed. The footballing intelligence was just absolutely through the roof, man. It was nice to see a breakthrough player like that. But can you tell us a little bit more about these links between Amrabat and Liverpool and whether they excite you?
I can't lie. I'm starving so badly. I'd get excited to be linked to any midfielder at this moment in time. It's starvation season at Liverpool. It's just been like something that you personally know that I've harped on about this summer, all summer long, how important it is to get a midfielder. No one wanted to listen. Now we're sixth. So it's not just I'm excited by anyone. You could bring me, I could go through nation by nation and I could tell you a midfielder who could get him. But just on Amrabat, I heavily watched Morocco this tournament, and to be honest, there's two midfielders for me. It's him and Unahi as well, who were
Yeah.
unbelievable for Morocco. Them two specifically, I think, represented themselves on the big stage very, very, very well. Now, this is where we might be a bit biased because, like, let's be real, no one sat around watching Fiorentina like that.
Yeah, of
No one's
course, of
like sat,
course, of
yeah,
course.
no one sat here doing Safian Amrabat scouting. So I
Yeah.
spoke to my Serie A friends, if you like, the people who watch that league consistently. They told me he's a good player. He's like as they call him now, the new generation, a destroyer. So someone who could stop attacks, who could stop counterattacks, etc. Um, so for me personally, out of this World Cup, if you were to ask me like logical or a realistic midfielder in which we'll get, I'd say him or his partner in crime, to be honest, from Morocco. Probably logical players, that could make us better. But as I said, I could genuinely go through every single nation and get you a player. We could go to the US and I'd take Yunus Musa right now. We
I
go
hear
to
you.
Ecuador, I'm taking
Yeah.
Caicedo. Like whichever one, you name it, and I'll name you the player I'll take from them. Happily, man. Happily.
I mean, Liverpool fans that are watching, I'm laughing because literally the situation over at Liverpool sort of parallels what's going on over Chelsea. I think the content creators, we've been the most outspoken in terms of like midfield reinforcements, because that's where both of our squads have, well, I'll speak for Chelsea, but in terms of any kind of depth, it's pathetic at this point in time, and we're in a terrible, terrible place where we're watching midfielders, quite rightly, like you said. Not saying Moose is a bad player, but I'm watching it. I'm thinking he'd be an improvement. Tyler Adams, he'd be an improvement. So on and so forth. All of these players. So for Amrabat, look, I'll be real. I never like to judge players entirely of tournaments because there's several factors for me that are involved. One of them that people do tend to underestimate hugely is the national pride factor. Yeah, when some players, when they play for their country, it's the biggest honor, bigger than playing for any other club. So they'll turn in performances that you're not usually going to see. Now, with Amrabat,
have you ever seen Ziyech run for Chelsea like that?
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. He doesn't break his back for Chelsea the way he did for Morocco. So that's a case in point, a very good one. But there's certain intangibles that I see with this player that, regardless of whether you're watching in a tournament, YouTube, or whatever, you know it's part of his game and it's a foundation and his strength. And what it is about him is just he is so technically gifted. Right, it's almost unbelievable. You can have 3 or 4 players around him. It's not like we've seen him do it once, twice, or 3. He did it every game consistently. And quite rightly, like you said, just his ability to sniff out danger. It's more of an instinct. It's something that you can see. If you watch a player once, twice, 3 times, you can see instinctively there's certain things about that player that they have. And I think he's got those things, which is why I think for him, he might be a bit of an exception to the rule. So, I mean, in terms of adding him to your squad potentially, you've also got your backup for I mean, if you even want to call him a backup, but somebody to relieve the pressure for Fabinho. Because I know that's something that you've mentioned across the season, that Liverpool have overplayed him and it's now come to a point where he can't get a consistent run of games. So in terms of that definitely does strengthen you. But in terms of price tag and the player, have you heard anything about from his camp in terms of the potential move to Liverpool?
You know, with us, it's like it's interest FC. We're interested in so many people, and so many people are interested in us. You know, Sofian Amrabat came out and said, you know, I want to play for Liverpool, and Enzo Fernandez, I want to play for Liverpool, and Jude Bellingham, I want to play for Liverpool. So it's just about us actually going out and making a move. I made this analogy in the summer where, like, the most attractive, one of the most attractive, one of the most attractive clubs in Europe to go to, but we don't behave like it. Like, it's like someone who's extravagantly rich but decides to drive a Toyota. That's us basically. Like, we could attract so much better things. You know, we could attract so many better players, but we just choose to not do so, whether it be manager, ownership, whatever it is. Everyone plays a part for me. Now, when it comes to price tag for Amrabat, actually, before I speak about the price tag, the thing that you said before that, there's something that's, if you put even the effort to the side, I'm talking about his qualities as a player. I've seen him play out of pressure. I've seen him put tackles in. I've seen him play forward passes, in critical moments as well. 90th minute, I think it was, against Portugal, in extra time against Spain as well. Sort of these performances for me. I've seen him put in killer passes, important passes that stopped them from conceding goals literally just before, like, the game was about to end. So he's shown me that he can play under pressure as well. And that's at the grandest stage of them all. The World Cup is the grandest stage of them all as well. So that's with extra pressure on him. The pride thing, I think, maybe plays a part in terms of work rate, etc. But there is one thing that you said that's extremely true. I do believe in the World Cup tax. Because me and you growing up, we've seen so many players kill it at the World Cup. And at club level, they just don't do it. Case in example, Miroslav Klose. He's the all-time top goal scorer of World Cup. And if I ask people, name me a standout, like, league season he had or Champions League season he had, you'd fail to do so. But if I tell you Miroslav Klose on the World Cup, you'd be like, you'd put him in an all-time World Cup 11, just by logic, like, because he's always there for Germany, just scoring goals. So even I could even bring up a more modern example in terms of Diego Forlan. When you see him play for Uruguay,
that was the next name.
When you see him play for Uruguay, he's on some next level. When he plays at club level, you'd see people like Falcao, for example, playing much better for him than him for Atletico. Now, the price tag part is where it just should, like, how badly do you want the player? Because from what I have heard is Tottenham Hotspur are willing to pay more than us, basically, for Amrabat. So, it'll be just a matter of who wants to pay more. And Tottenham for Amrabat is of course, attractive club to go to because of the Conte stuff and all of that. So he's always gonna want to play for Conte as well. I know you're a Chelsea fan, but it's just the truth. Like, Tottenham
no, it's true. I hear you.
So my thing is, if I put a bid in and Tottenham put the same exact bid in, I know I'm gonna get Amrabat. But if they pay more, then they pay more. There's nothing I can do if they pay more than me. It depends on how badly we want him. Do we want him 50 mil, 60 mil badly? I doubt it. Do we want him 30 mil badly? Probably.
Amrabat at Tottenham. I mean, you know, as good as a signing he'd be for them, I still think that there's lots that they need to address in their midfield as well. I also think that Tottenham is funny with them because it's not the exact same parallels, but it reminds me a little bit of Belgium in the sense of they've got this quote unquote golden crop of players, maybe one or two exceptional players that could have won them trophies. They've come this far, and yet they've got nothing. So Tottenham, there's a huge rebuild that they're going to need to do. That's on the way. If they were any smart, they'd be getting on top of it now. But you know, for the quoted price tag, I'm hearing between 40 and 50 million euros. I'm not sure how true that is. Either way, for that kind of price to take a gamble in this day and age, it's not really a lot of money. It's really not. And I reckon it is a relatively, looking at Liverpool, the size of the club, it's a relatively safe bet to make. If it doesn't work out for you, there's still somewhat some resale value. I mean, he's still what, 22, 23 years old or something? He's
26.
Oh, 26. My bad. I'm thinking of it's the other brother, Unahi's
younger.
Yeah, that's the one. I get mixed up between the two. But so there is still somewhat some resale value there. But I don't think it's going to be a flop signing if he goes to Liverpool. I think it's going to be a good one alongside two potential others. Now, I will say this. I don't think you'll be getting all three of these midfielders. I think you'll be getting two of them. Obviously, we've seen the links with Jude Bellingham. We've also seen the links with Enzo Fernandez as well. Now, Jude Bellingham in himself is going to cost
There's the third guy. There's a
third one now as well. Who's the third one?
There's the third guy that's more realistic than all the ones we mentioned already, and that's Caicedo.
Moises, okay. Of Bright.
Caicedo's real. That's not our own. That's real. Like the Caicedo thing is real because we bid in for him this summer as well.
Okay. So, wow. And I know Brighton are going to be asking, because I know Chelsea have interest, and I saw a price tag like about 70 million euros or something like that being floated around. That would be a good addition for you. That's news to me, people. That's the first I'm hearing of that. I just knew about Jude Bellingham and Enzo Fernandez. Now, with Jude Bellingham, we know that's going to cost about 120 million euros to get that deal done. But my thing is that I don't think that there's a problem with the player. I think it's a very similar situation to Declan Rice and Chelsea in the term that if he does leave Dortmund, his first no doubt choice is Liverpool. His dad is an absolute diehard Liverpool fan. He himself is a Liverpool fan as well. It's a boyhood move that he wants. Now, can you see Liverpool facilitating that move this summer, especially since you're being linked with other expensive targets like your Enzo Fernandez? Now I'm hearing Caicedo. So what do you think about that? What's going on with that?
Listen, the Jude Bellingham thing, like we've even seen him, he's like every day in Qatar, he was just out with Trent and Anderson. Like it's so bait, man. Like every day there's just a new video. When I think it was Henderson who scored the goal against Senegal, him and Bellingham almost like kissed in the celebration. Like, it was just mental. Like, you know, it's like almost a matter of just come get here already type thing.
Yeah.
Like I've just, you know, it's just I have no doubt in my mind that we're gonna get him this summer. I think the Jude thing, I've already moved past the doubt stage for me. Like I'm probably 99.99999% sure that we're gonna get him this summer, and I have confidence in it. And I think he wants to come to Liverpool. I think he sees his development here, and also you have to look at the type of player as well. I think Jude Bellingham, you could tell just by his mojo, the way he plays football and stuff, that he wants to be the guy, not a guy. So I think he comes to Liverpool, he starts the new revolution, if you'd like. He'd be there. And by the way, Liverpool PR is going to help him. You know, the Ballon d'Ors, the Players of the Year, and all of that. Like, we have good PR, you know, unlike City, for example, where it's rare for them to get a player on one of them podiums. So, look, I think with Jude, it's past the doubt phase for me. Yeah. So in my mind, I see him already wearing the Liverpool red this summer. But it's not just Jude that's going to fix our problems, because we need quantity and quality. Because when you look at our midfield as currently constructed, Keita and Ox, both just made from Weetabix, never available. And, you know, they're on and off with their form. Henderson and Milner always fit, but crap when they play. Thiago Alcantara, fantastic when he plays, but also same problem, also injury prone. So we actually need bodies as well, not just quality. We need quality and quantity. So for me personally, I think we probably need three midfielders to solve our entire problem of midfield, if you'd like. Now, do I think we're gonna get Enzo, Jude, and Caicedo? No, because that's just unrealistic.
Yes,
I
yeah,
think we're
yeah.
gonna get I think we're gonna get Jude and Caicedo, in my opinion. That's what I predict. And Enzo's probably gonna end up going to Real Madrid, because if you look at Real Madrid right now, there's always a third person interested. Enzo ain't just interested in Liverpool. Like, there's many teams interested. When you look at Real Madrid, Camavinga, Chouameni. So now Modric, Kroos, and Casemiro is going to be moved on from. Chouameni and Camavinga
Casemiro's
are
gone.
already there.
Casemiro's
Yeah, they're
gone.
just missing one. That's it. If they get Enzo, the rebuild is done, if you like. And Enzo's shown himself in very bright colors this World Cup. He's been a very good player. But for me, the Enzo one is probably a bit unlikely, unless we do something that we haven't done in the whole Klopp era this summer and just go ballistic and sign both, which is something that we can only dream of, if I'm being completely honest. I don't see it happening.
I mean, Jude and Fernandez alone would be almost €250 million. So, and that in itself is unprecedented for Liverpool. And then also as well to try and
For anyone, to be fair, who's
yeah,
bought two
it is.
players for 250? Like, I've never
Yeah,
seen that.
it is kind of wild. It's mad. Even by Todd Bowley standards, that is wild still. And Todd is the most is the most extreme example I can think of right now. But you're right though, because I had a feeling because Real Madrid, they have a massive interest in Jude Bellingham as well. And I know for a fact that Enzo Fernandez is part of that shortlist. So if they're not going to get Jude Bellingham, they're not missing out on Enzo Fernandez.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
whichever one we get, they get the other
They
one.
get the other one. Benfica, apparently there's a €120 million release clause on the player. Very, very smart of them. I can actually see Real Madrid activating it and it just saying, you know what, we might as well do it, because quite rightly, like you said, it's not just Liverpool that are interested, not just Real Madrid. There are other clubs that are financially able to pull the trigger, Manchester City being one of them. That's another club that wanted to try and go in for Jude Bellingham. So I imagine that Enzo Fernandez is going to be on their shortlist as well. Also, us as well, Chelsea. You know, although we're not guaranteed top four in a release clause situation, as long as you show you're serious, you can still get the deal done. But whether we're going to activate that, I highly doubt that. We've got other deals that we're looking at, your Declan Rices and so on and so forth. We've just signed in Kunku. There's a lot. So I'd be very surprised if we see him at Chelsea. I'd love him, but I'd be very, very surprised if we were to see him at Chelsea. But the Caicedo move, like I said, that's news to me. And it did occur to me that you lot did make a bid in the summer, but I did think that the move of
it was
Graham
last
Potter,
minute. That's why it didn't work.
the last minute thing. So
we just took too long. We took too long, man. We waited till the last day, and now, like, you know, even from a Chelsea perspective, Chelsea ain't gonna let go of Loftus-Cheek in the last day. Like, the last day, you need to have a replacement ready some way, somehow. That's why even we saw the Arsenal Douglas Luiz thing, it didn't happen. So we waited till the very end, but we did make a bid. I know that for a fact, but Brighton just refused it. And I'm not saying it's like 100% done. I'm just saying, if Caicedo becomes a Liverpool player this January, I wouldn't be shocked. I really wouldn't be shocked. It's kind of like the Van Dijk thing, in which we messed it up in the summer and then we fixed it up in the January thing.
In January,
I wouldn't be shocked if that move occurs, is basically what I'm saying.
So your next game in the Premier League is on Boxing Day. You're going to be playing Aston Villa away. Definitely not an easy game with Unai Emery now at the helm. But in terms of players coming back from international, have you had any news on the injury front? Are you relatively fit to be going into the second part of the Premier League season? How are you feeling going into that game?
We've got two injuries that are significant, and that's Diaz and Jota, and they're out till March, which actually now gives us a bigger headache, which is the forward line market, because the midfield market is stacked. There's so many people we could buy. I could genuinely go through every single Premier League team and tell you a midfielder that will make us better. Even a midfielder like, for example, that you got, like Jorginho, many people don't rate. He's exactly what the doctor ordered for us. We need someone to pass left and right and just keep the ball. That's literally what we need. So there's a midfielder out there in every single club who can prove us. Now, the forward line for us, with Diaz and Jota out, you're looking at Nunes, Salah, Firmino essentially till the end of the season. which I don't think is an ideal situation. So that forward line market as well is something that we must be looking at this January. We must try go get someone, because I don't think it's a very good idea to just leave it to them three, because if one of them gets injured, now you're talking about the Carvalhos and the Curtis Joneses of this world, which can't be relied on in the big moment. When it comes to the Premier League, I was laughing when he said Aston Villa and Emery ain't an easy place to go to, because it ain't even about what's easy and what's hard anymore. We lost to Forest. We lost to Fulham. We beat City. My club makes zero sense. There's nothing logical about this football club anymore. We performed better against Arsenal and City than we did against Forest and against Fulham. And it's just genuinely baffling to me. I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever. Tomorrow we got a EFL Cup game against City. Wouldn't be shocked whatsoever if we go beat them at the Etihad and then lose to Villa the next Monday. It's just typical us. And this is why people think I'm exaggerating when I say this, but I'm really not. I think this January transfer window is the most important of Klopp's Liverpool career. And because you've seen this before with your own club. I've seen it with my own club. We've seen this before. Liverpool are at the crossroads.
Yeah.
Either we go into the crossroad of we're gonna rebuild and start from scratch and start over again, or we go into the other road, which is I'm gonna deal with the 1-2 problems I have now, try fix up, and in the summer we buy the next players we need, and boom, we go back to winning again. So instead of us just going through a whole rebuild and starting all over again and starting from scratch, we could essentially basically start the process this January, which is why if we are a serious club, we do sign players. And if you tell me, Husam, would you be shocked if you lose to City, you lose to Villa, and you lose to Leicester before January? I tell you, no, I wouldn't be shocked. Because performances this season have been absolutely horrible. We've played absolutely horribly. We're 6th right now. There is no excuse for Liverpool to drop all the way from 2nd, 1st, whatever, challenging for Champions League, blah, 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 to be 6th now. Like that's just on some next level drop off right there. So for me personally, very disappointing start to the season, and no game for us is easy. I can no longer confidently look into this camera right here, or look into your eyes, or look into whoever's eyes and say we're gonna get 3 points. I cannot do that anymore. I genuinely can't. Like that's been sucked out of me. I started off this season confidently. Man United away, I got roasted. Arsenal away, I got roasted. You should have seen what happened to me on social media. And when Arsenal, people were just posting the clips from me reacting to the goals. I was just everywhere. So that has been sucked out of me. I can no longer tell you any game's easy. We could easily lose both games. We could lose Villa. We could lose Leicester. We could lose City as well. It's been horrible, brother. It's been horrible.
No, I hear you, and my next question to you was going to be a question that I'm asked quite a lot myself. Mentally, where are you in terms of expectations for this season? Because I'll give you an example what I mean by that question. So when people ask me about Chelsea top 4, this trophy, that, or whatever, I say to them straight up and down, my answer stayed the same from Thomas Tuchel got sacked. I've got no expectations of top 4. I've got no expectations of silverware. The only thing that I ask is you don't get us relegated or near the relegation zone. Now, to some people, it's a very shocking response, but it's not that I want us to be there. It's just that with my eyes and using my sense of realism, that's just where we're at. So for me, I'm in a place where I can accept whatever happens this season, but my eyes are going to be very strongly on January and the summer, because quite rightly, like you said, I feel like we're at a very important crossroads as well. And the signings and the statements of intent that are going to be made this January are at least going to let Chelsea fans know which direction long-term is this club going. The one thing that I'm happy about is the fact that Ronaldo looks like he's about to sign a deal over in the Middle East. But I think that was a case of fans.
You were so worried about that.
No, I'll tell you this. At first, when I heard the news, I was a bit worried. But then when I actually looked with a little bit of substance, I actually saw that Todd Bowley wasn't obsessed with signing the player. He just wanted to know why Tuchel didn't want him. But Tuchel refused to give him an answer because he said, you shouldn't be asking me these questions. You hire me to make footballing decisions. Go and do whatever you're doing over there, which is not fruitful for a long-term relationship that the owner's looking for. So that was the situation with that. So just back to the question, where are your expectations sort of for Liverpool this year?
I hate this question. I really do hate this question because it just depends on what we do in January, man. I know that's
Yeah.
like such a boring answer, but it's genuinely the truth. It depends on what happens in January. We could easily, by January time, see ourselves be seventh, sixth. We could easily be fourth. I don't know what might happen, but look, standards won't drop from my side. I won't ever drop my standards, and that was actually a problem I faced with my own fan base last season, because as soon as the season finished, I said this season's a failure, and people are like, are you crazy? We went for a quadruple, we did this with that. I'm like, okay, but we didn't win any of the two big boys. Liverpool Football Club was not built on FA Cups and Carabao Cups. It was built on league titles and Champions Leagues. That's what makes a big club what it is. So for me, the standard never drops.
Yeah.
Win the champs or win the Prem. Win the Prem is out the door now. That's probably over already. So let's be realistic. It's probably going to be between Arsenal and City. Win the champs though, still is likely. It's not fully impossible. It still is likely. It's possible. It's a possibility. But we are facing the team that has just been tearing us apart every time we play them in Real Madrid. So if I am to be realistic, as they say, and just have a realistic look at the season, that we're having right now, that we're having due to our own errors, our own arrogance, our own negligence, our own messing up. I think top four is a given. Like I wouldn't ever be worried about that, because I've seen my club get top four with Nat Phillips and Reece Williams, so I'll always be confident in that. And I've seen us like win 7-8 games in a row if needed. So like I've seen us do that before. And speaking of the EFL Cup, the FA Cup, if we get one of them domestic trophies, I'll be like, horrible season, but like, okay, like fair enough. I'll give you this one. But it's just I wish we were a lot more ruthless than what we currently are, unfortunately.
I hear you, and I think for you guys, it's not going to last long. It's just these rebuilds take time, but at least we're starting to see from both Liverpool and Chelsea. We're starting to see in the social media that the clubs are actually looking at serious players, players that are actually looking to elevate the level of the entire squad, not just, cherry picking names and just placing them. There's actually, transfer plans, and Chelsea have just officially announced Christopher Vivell, who's going to be a technical director at Chelsea, alongside Paul Winstanley and several others. So the structure's looking good. It's looking really good at Chelsea. I just hope for my club
I've
that
seen you guys signing Kunku as well, right?
yes, yeah.
That's
So
for the summer, though,
yeah,
right?
we got the
Yeah.
here we go from Romano. Next, apparently, is Vardiol. That's a deal that we've been working on since before the World Cup. I know Real Madrid are massively interested, as are several other clubs. But I think with Chelsea, it feels like we're at a stage where we've put in a lot of the groundwork already in comparison to other clubs, and sometimes that can be a really, really massive benefactor in terms of winning the race for really desired players, because we know that he is one. So we got to see what happens there. It's exciting times for Chelsea. I just want to see several players out of the door. You already know the usual suspects. Jorginho, for me, he's definitely got to go. I'm at a stage
I
where,
take him. I
yeah,
take him.
please, you'll be
One
doing me
man's
a
trash
massive
is
favor.
another man's treasure. That's literally what the doctor ordered for us.
You'll
Give
be
me someone who can pass left and right. That's all I want. That's all I want.
You'd be
I
doing
want
me a massive favor. There's a clear outcome in at Chelsea. Kovacic apparently wants to leave the club as well. I'm not completely against him leaving. To tell you the truth, Loftus-Cheek by standards is not good enough. Leaves us kind of bare bones, really. We've got Conor Gallagher now. We've got Mason Mount. Players that haven't consistently stepped up to the level that we
That's
need
what
them
I was
to.
about to ask you, actually. Why are you looking at Gvardiol to begin with? Don't you think you got bigger issues than that? Like bigger problems to solve first?
Not necessarily. Yes and no. So in terms of Gvardiol, he is definitely needed because Thiago Silva is on his way out. We have to remember that. Also, we have an injury-prone centre back called Wesley Fofana, who's just come back from injury and re-injured himself and has set himself back further another 4 weeks. So we definitely need Josko Gvardiol. But you're right. You're right in terms of other areas, but this is why I'm not too concerned, because I'm seeing from your renowned Chelsea journalists, we're going for midfielders like Romeo Lavia, That one there is true. Very similar to Caicedo. Last, I think the day before or on the day, we tried to make a £50 million bid for the player. So there's definitely legit interest there. There's also the Declan Rice situation. Like I said, West Ham might be willing to sell for about 70 million. And we've also been linked with another Spanish CDM. I believe his name is Zubamendi or something. I don't know too much about the player. Your Twitter experts who've seen him for 5 minutes and know everything about him should tell you more than I can. But we're trying to address key areas. So it's exciting to see. But in terms of, getting top 4, I'd be very happy if we got it. But where I'm at now, I'd understand that if we didn't, I'm just putting in some faith in the long-term project. And I think it's quite similar with you, although. Have you heard much news about the takeover?
I'm not the same. I'm not looking.
You're not the same. You're not optimistic about your future.
No.
But
the moment you start throwing the word project out there is the moment when you know the downfall started. I ain't doing no projects.
Oh, so okay.
I left that stuff over at school, bro. We have to win now. Win now, bro.
Win now.
Trent,
okay.
Fabinho, Thiago, Alisson, Van Dijk, Salah. That's not a project. That's a win now movement right there. We just need to build around them.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Fair enough. I guess, but I'd say this about you guys as well. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but even if you guys don't finish with anything, if I was in your situation, I wouldn't be super pissed off about it. Because, again, you can see the direction that your club's trying to go. And also, my next question was actually going to be about this takeover situation. What is actually going on with that?
When you had your first bite of chocolate cake, if I took over chocolate cake for another year, you'd be pissed off. And then I took it out for another year, we'd be ultra pissed off. So if we don't do anything this season, I'd be really mad. Now, when it comes to the takeover, the same situation that you encountered, to be honest with you, like, look, Chelsea had multiple consortiums, many people interested. It's the same for us. So many people want to buy us. The Middle East, billionaires from India, from China, from the US, everyone, just European billionaires as well, from Germany and Switzerland consortium. There's so many different people that do want to end up buying Liverpool Football Club, because if we're being honest, and you and myself, who have been watching the Premier League for a while, have actually seen this growth and development. The Premier League is making so much money right now that it's lucrative for any billionaire. But just as you've seen with Todd Bowley, when you buy a club for hundreds of millions, you buy it for monetary purposes. If you're buying a club for 3 billion plus 4 billion, whatever it is, you're looking at something completely different. You're looking at sort of, I always use this analogy, rich versus wealthy. Like, look at it this way. Steph Curry could buy Leeds United if he wanted to. 300 million, he got that in the bank. He buys Leeds United and then he uses it to make money for himself. When I look at the billionaires that can afford 3 billion, 4 billion, etc., I don't think they're doing it for monetary purposes. I think they're doing it for different reasons, when they're around other billionaires, it's like something they could just put on their portfolio. It's like a show-off thing, if you like. I'm the owner of Liverpool, and as he smokes a cigar in the Maldives and tells his other billionaire friends, I won the league this season, type thing. It's a different type of billionaire. Like, if someone has 4 billion to spare to buy a football club, like, they've got money. So their background or nationality or where they're from matters absolutely nothing to me. I just have one condition for the guy that buys us, and that's that he has to be someone who's ambitious. That's it. Someone who actually wants to win, someone who wants to be ambitious, someone who cares about football. Because my problem with FSG is as follows. Me and you, I don't know if you're not a restaurant owner, right?
I'm not a restaurant owner, no.
Yes.
No.
So me and you are both not restaurant owners. If you own the restaurant for 10 years, 10 years later, I'd come to you or you'd come to me, and we should at least have a basic understanding of food. We should understand what food is about.
Yeah.
FSD till this very day, 10 years later, don't make any footballing decisions, don't get involved in footballing decisions, don't quite understand the sport, aren't really, on par with what's going on on the pitch wise, which I really dislike, because 10 years later, you should be aware of these things. You should be aware of the actual sport itself. And I think that's my biggest problem with them. And even looking at the FSG thing, just because they're American owners, the people who might buy us, I don't think that necessarily means immediately that they're bad. Because FSG bought us for what, 300 million? Once again, this relates for what about, I can name you probably 10 athletes who could have bought Liverpool at the time. Like, it's just 300 million is not the same as 4 billion. That's 10 times 300 million. That's buying 10 Liverpools basically, as what we're worth now. So look, takeover news. There's new people interested every day. It's what comes with the territory. You experienced it as well. Chelsea Football Club, even with the sanctions, even with you owing Roman money, it's just like, people were interested because it's in the Premier League, because it's a big club. It'll be the same for us, Liverpool,
100%.
massive club, so many billionaires want to buy us. Is there like an educated guess from my end would be that we're probably going to be American owned again. So I'd say would move on to American owners again, but I don't think that necessarily is the worst of news. Preferably,
Yeah,
I'd rather be owned by a Middle Eastern person, but it is what it is.
Nah, you'll be in good hands. You'll be in good hands. I mean, nobody's going to buy a football club to decimate it to the ground or have that intention. It's a lot of money that you're putting in there. Also, as well, you're dealing with consortiums. So, like, when a group of minds are coming together to try and make something happen, obviously it's for the best interest. Everybody wants to ensure that their returns are going to be returned. You see what I mean? So, like, yeah, I think you lot should be in good hands. You're a club with massive history as well. Huge proposition, very attractive club to buy. Premier League as well. And also something that Todd Bowley said before taking over Chelsea was the fact that over the next decade or so, the revenue is estimated to be going through the roof in the Prem. So just purely from a business perspective, like you said, it makes sense for any billionaire to
It's
really
at
be buying.
500 million right now, I think, around that revenue for Liverpool
There
yearly.
you go. So there you go, and it's only going to become more and more and more going down the line. But Husam, thank you so much for joining me today, man. I really appreciate you jumping on the channel. Unfortunately, people, I'm gonna have to bring this one to an end. I gotta go and pick up my son from school. Get me, daddy duties are always calling. I gotta put them first. You get me. But what have you got coming up on the channel, bro? Let the people them know what time, when, what the schedule is. You get me? I'll let them know where to find you. It's always down there in the description, so people make sure you click them links. But Husam, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's cracking.
What's cracking is so much content coming your way. Even doing a watch along for the game tomorrow, doing a watch along for United Burnley today, doing previews, reviews, all of that good stuff. Just going all out. After the World Cup, I decided I'm just gonna do content. I'm just gonna do straight up content creation. I've
Full
pushed the
time.
chemical. Yes, sir. I've made that decision. I've pushed all the chemicals to the side now. Chemical engineering will be parked, and now I'm just on this content creation business. So it's spaces.
Mate, listen, you might need to tell 1 or 2 content creators to lay off the chemicals as well with some of their takes. Do you know what I mean?
That is true. That is true. 100%. So if you want to catch me on the spaces, it's at Don Husam6 on Twitter, always speaking daily football wars. And my channel is called This Is Football. I know the link is going to be in the description. It's a channel for everyone, so it's not just Liverpool content. Watch alongs coming your way, previews, reviews, call-in shows, all of that good stuff. But most importantly, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Make sure you hit the like button, and big up to everyone who tuned in and stayed till the end as well. And thank you to Guni for having me on as well. It's been a while since I've been on
yeah, man. I mean, it's just good in general to have these conversations with you, bro. They just flow so smoothly, and that's why I enjoy doing it, bro. Like you don't even realize where the time goes. So yeah, man, it's always a good collab. But speaking of that, I've got to jump on your channel at some stage, bro. Obviously, we'll chop it up behind the scenes, and we'll make that happen. So people definitely look out for that. And quite rightly, like the man said, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you are new, leave your thoughts down there in the comments as well. Husam's details is down there in the description, all of his socials. So make sure you give my brother a follow. So people, as always, I've got to leave you with my blessings. Holiday season, please be responsible. Please stay safe. You get me? Peace out, people.